Hello. Thank you. God, I'm so dry. Can you hear the sound right? Is it clear or... Staticky? Yeah, that's probably because it's the laptop. I don't think I can do any better, to be honest. Let's give it a try. Alright. Let's see if we can... Oh, the microphone that it's going for is...
Is it any better now? Any more clear at all? Yeah. Perfect. It should be connecting to my headphones now. Probably shouldn't be hitting my headphones either. Too bad. Alrighty. So, I have no idea what I'm doing here, to be honest, because I don't really want to work on this the same way as I usually would. Let me just move the chat to the side, because there we go. Can pay attention to it. So I have these brushes. All these are paint brushes that I have never used at all. And I have no idea what the effects are. But the aim here is to create a screen printable t-shirt design using this outline that I did for my coloring book, using these 6 colors maximum up top. And I want to try and give it a painted feel to it, which isn't going to be easy on a limited palette, basically. We can do gradients, but we cannot mix colors, if that makes sense, because it's spot coloring. So let's see what... See, all of these are different textures. So, yeah, that's no good. I don't like how certain default brushes, not exactly default brushes, but the preset brushes, which I bought from someone, I don't know who, bought them ages ago. They don't show you what they don't show you what the brush is going to look like, which isn't very helpful. See, that's kind of what I'm going for. Oh, this is called Teddy Pose. What does it like? It's alright. It's not really... That's like hair. It's a hair text. Hairbrush. Hairbrush. It's a hairbrush. Oh, went all the way back up. So I want oil. Now I believe that the letter OH or GHI should be impasto type thing, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So this is like an oil painting thing. No idea what I'm doing. There we go. So these might be oil related. But see how that has a texture to the brush. We can't really use this. Alright, let's look up my good old regular brushes. I don't use many. A lot of them are doubles. It doesn't make it very helpful. Of course. Yep. So, first I am going to fix the spacing here. I'm just going to lay down the basic colors that I'm going for the piece itself. Now, even though I have a line art base at the bottom, I don't really want to use it because I want to try and do this without outlines, if that makes sense. But I am going to use the shape as a guide. That's why I've kept it. So that's mm, mm, mm. So the base for this section is going to be this like fuchsia because it sits well between her Celeste's bow color and her regular coloring, her red, the rest of her character. I am coloring in my own coloring page, though this isn't the first time I do it because I already finished this set as space coloring. So that's there. Now, oof, clicking a lot of things. So, the bow can be slightly lighter. See, all this is very experimental. I have literally no clue what I'm actually doing on this face. So we're going to have this as a star, but since this is like a starry night kind of feel, I wanted to have a more circular effect to it. So that's one. Now I am starting with this light color for contrast purposes, but doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to use that amount of brightness within the star. I just want to have an idea of um, of the space the stars are going to be occupying in the piece. Now I don't think I really need 3 down here. So for the sake of this, we're going to move this smaller one here and do a larger star over here. The largest should be here and a smaller one up here. Going really large with this initial. Again, this is all subject to change. I'm just laying down certain base areas. Just to see what space everything is going to occupy and therefore give myself a bit of compositional, like a full-on concept of what I'm going for before I get started. So now that I know where those stars are going to be like, I can reduce the color and I can roughly identify that there's going to be a lot of lighting here, there's going to be a lot of lighting here and here, the side of the feet. This obviously will be quite heavy in light, maybe a little bit here and here. Same with the bottom here and here. Wing, bottom of the frame there. This side of the bow, a bit heavy on the head. Same around there. Little bit on here because of this star. And same down there. This wing might have a little bit on the edge of it, but since the dimension is outward, then probably not. Some here, because this star would in the distance give some yeah, thank you. And a little bit of light at the top perhaps. So this is where the lighting on Celeste is really going to be be worked on or worked through. Now what I can do is put this back on, remove this. Don't know if my sound just died a little bit. But anyway, no, let's release that. Take out the brush I use for fading. Lower the size a little bit. And start working on light. Because with these Starry Night type things, you almost need to work backwards a little bit. The fact that there isn't really any outline in this piece is quite difficult for me because I'm so used to cell shading that um, I'm just not used to not doing a cell shaded effect. But I'm going to try and use the lighting as a form of outline. Keep in mind, like I said, the layer colors will be changing. Oof, not there, buddy boy. Yeah, this is definitely not how I usually work, so doesn't really show um, how I usually do things because I don't really work on this style very often, very rarely. Yeah, trying to find a balance between the graininess, sorry, and the fades. That see the shoulder would all be engulfed in light, but I cannot have it too bright because then we just wouldn't really see anything. Shoulder. It's too funny. Do owls have shoulders? Nope. Not that last. Oh, my goodness. So I would imagine this is actually the, in terms of layers and coloring and whatever, this should be this tone here. Because we need to add highlights onto this. So what I'm going to do is continue this, see how much of it will occupy. In this case, that light is just a little bit on the back, so I really don't want to have to do too much with it. So this part should be hidden by the bow as well, so we shouldn't really see too much light here. Might need to erase a little bit of that later on. This will once again give us some illusion of line art, even though it isn't so. That glow needs to fade. This needs to fade as well. On the rim of the telescope. Here, it will probably bleed a little bit. Yeah, To be fair, I talk to myself a lot while I draw. uh, don't know why. It just keeps me company. Keep myself some company. Talking to myself. There we go. There will probably have a little bit more lighting, but not for now, because we can add that later. Now, let's see. This bit of Celeste belly. We are going to add here. Right here. Again, this needs thorough fixing. But once we add more colors to it, it will blend better. So that is one. Yay! Now I need to double this layer. I'm going to change. No, that layer needs to stay the same. Just going to do this. And this layer is actually going to go back to what it was before at 50%. So this is somewhere between now, the lightest tone and the darkest one. So now I add this here. We should start seeing a different tone here. A little bit more orangey. This is going to be the bright color of the claw. This we didn't fix earlier. As you can see, that layer is at 50%. I want this to fade a little bit there. Blend. Blend, blend, blend. Oops. When you grab the wrong layer. That's there. Not too bad, she's taking some shape. 4 people, including Zach, and probably myself, because I think if you have the thing open, then it shows as um, another individual. Stream to a couple more frames. Real quick. Yeah. Hello to other people. Nice to have you. Yeah, okay. Let's go back to this. So, yeah, I do like where the layering is going here. Now, this will eventually look like so, without that over like overlay of the um, telescope and the ribbon. And that is what the final product should look like, somehow, with that overtone, though I'm not sure how to work that in just yet. Still experimenting. So I am going to try and... So I like having as much of the complete vision as possible. So this isn't light enough, so I'm going to have to lighten this tone a little bit, which will in turn blending options, going to change that there, copy layer style, paste it there, and put that to 50%. There we go. Now we can see a little bit more contrast in the highlight layer and the median layer, which essentially is what we want. Now, even though this is blending really well, as in the colors are smoothly going into one another, it's not the point of this piece. So I am still essentially just placing down the base layer and then need to rework this to make it look like brush strokes. Because otherwise we don't really have a Starry Night type picture. We just have a, I don't know, a regular painting. So somehow I need to implement brush strokes like this to make it look like there's a painted element to it. Which the nose is looking done and decent. I can always work backwards with the layer and remove bits of it. Which also works, still gives it a bit of a painted effect. But yes, this is. Yeah, I think we're on a good track here. Just need to keep at it, basically. Now, what would be helpful is understanding that this needs a base layer here as well, with the lightest color as an underlay of 50%, because once we put down the pink layer down at the bottom, or fuchsia, whatever it is, it needs to have a different different tone than Celeste's feather color. And since we're only allowed one type of pink or red, which is fuchsia in this case, we need to use our other tones to change it around and give it different elements. So this will identify the ribbon for us. It's a challenging piece. Limited palette, limited print colors, and still working on the painted effect, which is kind of counterproductive, to be honest. But hey, we love making our lives a little bit difficult. So here we are going for Celeste's eye shape, just something like so. This is, for those who aren't aware, a coloring page I did for my book. So I'm not tracing over another artist's work, thank goodness. That would be a bit of a messy mess. And a giant no-no. I should have given it a little bit more of a textured feel rather than so full. Okay, we can always fix that later on as well. What I can do now. Let's do that a little bit, just to give it some sort of disconnect and outline. And it's looking a little bit more like Celeste now, at the very least. Yeah. So now when we do this, the bow um, should show light as a lighter pink, which is good. And yeah, have some sort of idea here what we're doing. Now, if I move this here and have a look at what shades I want to give the piece. So I'm going to make sure that here is like that, and here going to have some darker colors. We're going to have the shadow for the foot here. The leg on this side is going to mostly be shaded like that. Going to have a little bit of shading at the top of this leg here. Here we're going to try and emulate the dark color that she has on her tail, somewhere there, which will be the same at the top here. And I would like to give it a bit of like an arm fade there, so it continues into that color. This here is going to be darker as well. I want to give her some sort of shading on the face, though that needs to be arranged, and the same thing happens here because of the kind of eyebrow thing on the forehead. That's there. I need a darker spot here. And something there to know exactly where this is going to fall. Well, of course, I just put all this on the wrong layer. Why not? Oh my. Let's see. Select color range blue and below. Oh, silly thing. Photoshop. It's not my friend sometimes. Color range. This. Yes. Sure. fix that. So now this should be on its own layer. This should be on its own layer. This needs cleaning those edges. Yeah. Does this need? Yeah, this just needs redoing on certain parts. This is going to be darker, darker, slightly darker. This is going to be a lens. Here we're going to have darker tones fading. Here we're going to have darker tones. We need to somehow distinguish. That area needs to be darker, better color, just as much as this. Yeah, looks a mess, but hey ho. Yeah, looks a little bit tragic at the moment. So needs a little bit of fixing. Now these layers are going to be stacking, which is what is going to make this piece kind of work better. So the way these stack is the lightest color, which is the almost white color we did on the edge of this tail here. And in order it will be that to the blues, up to the oranges, to the fuchsia color, to a lighter blue, to this blue that I'm using right now, and then using the base color, which is the navy, as a garment color. Yeah, I think we have a good gist of what the piece is going to look like in the end, but still all vague and, you know, still kind of working our way through all the little areas. Like this line here, that is a little bit too clean, so I would probably marry these two parts together, and then when I come to define the piece at the end, do a layer mask and use this brush to define the bits that I need to kind of accentuate. So this blue that I'm doing now is going to be at the very back of everything, just over the what I'd call the shirt color, which in this case is the background color, which is navy. It's going to be on a navy shirt, and therefore that is that doesn't count as a color on the piece when it comes to printing, because it's just the base of it. So with this, I could just use a fill, but in the eventuality that my hand does some sort of textures, like those little empty grain bits there, here and there, then that just adds to the piece more than if I just use a color fill. which is something that I don't use with any other types of my work, like enamel pins, etc. Don't really need any textures. Need them to be as clean as possible. In this case, it works. Going to leave just a little bit there to give it a subtle give me a subtle idea of where the design leads to. Yeah. Alright. Alright. See, I wanted to do this stream today, not only to test if sound and, yeah, slowly, exactly. That's what we're doing. We are sculpting the dimensions of the piece before I get into detailing it. And the way the background is going to work is going to be even different technique, because it will be purely just jabs of circular bits, like circular motions. Okay, so the base shadow isn't a shadow, it's just the darkest tone that we're going to use on top of Celeste. This plays down. I think the easiest way for me to do this is pick a section and just work throughout, because otherwise it's just going to otherwise it's just going to feel like it's not going anywhere for quite a long time, style-wise. And we don't want that. So we're going to pick a section, work on it for a little bit. I think the easiest part is going to be this tail. Once again, laying down base colors. More. And this needs a little bit more of a curvature. There we go. Let's see. How are we going to make this work? So I have that darker color there. Darker orange. I always use three types of lighting in Starry Night pieces. So this 50% layer again. That should blend those two together. So for my own recollection, really, I should rename these layers a little bit. That's not working out. Experimenting. Okay, so we'll call this work. This is our blue. This is our 50% orange that fades into next color. This is the orange. This is our 50% yellow. This is our yellow. This is our 50% white. And this is our top white layer. And these are the stars. Stars base for now. So yeah. So these orange layers are just not working out. Not quite like what we're going with here. Oh, that's fine. Don't worry about it. Also, my audio keeps disconnecting because the headphones time out. So, honestly, don't worry about it. I don't know if... I think this star here, needs to be on its own layer. It worked on its own, while the other star... I don't know. Don't know what to call them for now. So this needs to go to the very back. This is the Celeste layer, and that's the others are at the top. Which needs quite a lot of work, to be honest. So this actually needs to be one of these colors, which I'm assuming should be this. Give me 1 second. literally never receive phone calls. One time I tried to stream, I'm on a phone call. Alright, let's try this. I just want to keep experimenting with different bits of it to see how I'm going to make it work as a whole. That's there. That is white layer. Now we need a 50% one. And a yellow layer. Now if I work on the yellow layer first, which needs to encompass the white, and grow into occupying as much of the orange as possible. Not too much of it. Because there's still another layer in between these two. This is the orange layer, as we said. If I can type properly. I'm just fixing the sharpness and hardness of that brush, so the tails kind of fade a little bit better. There we go. Yeah, perfect. So now we need to use the 50% layers to blend all this together. Not exactly the most gripping drawing experience, but never know. Might learn something different. So the point with this is always to add a little bit onto the edges. But not too many once you leave the mid section. I think we need to use some of it. Maybe smaller tails. Maybe give it more of a bigger white middle. Yep. Yeah, I think we have a base circularly swirly painted star. I think now this will enable me to work a little bit on Celeste's shoulder, because it will give me an idea of where the colors need to be.
Can you still hear me? Yeah, I don't know what I can do to fix that, to be honest. So, give me 1 second. Let me try and... Okay. So I have this microphone that I bought a long time ago. I don't know if it is going to work. Give me 1 second, trying to... I have a microphone thingy. Don't know if it's going to detect the microphone. Which it did! Yes.
Okay, I'm trying to fix the sound, but the laptop is not picking up my secondary mic, so I have no idea how to fix that. Because for some reason I think this is the best I can do at the moment. I'll have to I'll have to try and fix it before my next attempt at streaming. Can you not hear me at all? So hopefully
There we go. Now it should work fine, because it should be picking up the headphones again. No? Yes? Actually, I just realized oh, no. Let's see. Go. So this should contrast a little bit better there. Orange. Is going to be a little bit more like that, maybe? There. and then fade from here into the fuchsia of the feathering. Now we did lose that detail there, so I need to find a way to bring that back. And we're going to do that with the yellows. I don't know if this is going to work well, but I think I'm just using so many different types of oranges. Yep, I am using many different types of oranges. And here is where I can't really afford to not do the painted look, because we're not going to know how orange is going to work with the fuchsia. That's there. Now 50% orange. And now we need to work on this, which isn't great. I think what it will need is blending the colors a little bit more. Well, we don't want the eye to be pink, so this needs to go entirely. We don't want any of that there either. So, what does this surfing work now? Not amazing. Can't say it's great. But yes, somehow it is going to work out. So I think that this blue actually needs to go and use the shirt color for this. Because if we distinguish this from our shading, we can give it a little bit more dimension. Can you hear me any better now, Zach? Or is it still really quiet? Okay, so yeah, so I think this will work a little bit better here. So if I add the blue again, just need to remove this. That there. Here we have another 50% point. I don't want to forget that. Yeah. Yeah. We're getting somewhere with this. I think this is where I'm going to end for today. Thank you for dropping by. I have a basic idea now of what I'm doing, so I would like to keep the rest of it for the actual stream on Sunday, where I will be doing another 2 hours, or 1 hour and a half today, 2 hours then, and I will see you all on Sunday. Thank you for stopping by. I hope you give it a small follow to this tiny channel. And we will see how further we can get with Celeste over the weekend. Bye-bye.